Hello and welcome to the Amateur Austenite. My name is Frances Duncan. I am an author and the founder of the Jane Austen Society of New Zealand. However, I am underqualified for my job as I am and have always been an enthusiastic amateur. Today we are going to be discussing Chapter 14 of Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. In Chapter 14, Mr. Collins is visiting, he praises Lady Catherine and he reads to the girls. One of the themes of this chapter is praise, deserved or not. Mr. Collins is a bit of a suck-up and he and Mrs. Bennet are playing the game together. Mr. Collins judges by what Lady Catherine has, not who she really is, but this chapter does really well in introducing Lady Catherine, so she's not a surprise when she turns up much later in the book. He also praises his own humble abode, which I think is we could easily call a humble brag. We could replace it every time he says humble abode with humble brag. The chapter starts with dinner and Mr. Bennet opens the conversation with Mr. Collins to Lady Catherine's praise, and then there is a giant paragraph which is all Mr. Collins' words about how great he thinks Lady Catherine is. So the first paragraph of this chapter takes up a whole page in my book, and 90% of it, maybe 80% of it, is Mr. Collins praising Lady Catherine. It's written in that really interesting way that Jane Austen has of conveying what someone's saying without using speech marks. Mr. Bennet is mocking Mr. Collins. He listened to him with the keenest enjoyment, maintaining at the same time the most resolute composure of countenance. So he's mocking him quietly, but making sure that he doesn't look like he is. By tea time, however, the dose had been enough. He had quite enough of Mr. Collins talking. And then he proposes that Mr. Collins read to the girls. And there's this glorious quote about Lydia. Lydia gaped as he opened the volume, which is Fordyce's sermons, and before he had, with very monotonous solemnity, read 3 pages, she interrupted him. This is exactly what we imagine Lydia doing. She is still quite young. We need to remember that about her. Despite protesting that he's not offended by this, it seems that Mr. Collins is offended. But he assures them he bore his young cousin no ill will and should never resent her behaviour as any affront. But then he decides to play backgammon with Mr. Bennet instead of reading to the girls. This chapter gives us an insight into Mr. Collins' character. He places those of more money than him and higher importance than him, and he flatters them. And he does it in a very calculated way. Mr. Bennet specifically asks him whether he has studied for his compliments. And he replies that I sometimes amuse myself with suggesting and arranging such little elegant compliments as may be adapted to ordinary occasions. I always wish to give them as unstudied an air as possible. Then Mr. Bennet finds him absurd, which he is a little, and talks about his humble abode. He mentions improvements and some suggested by Lady Catherine, shelves in the closet upstairs. I'm not sure if this is meant to be a joke as well, whether it's meant to be that you're putting shelves instead of a closet, meaning that there's nowhere to hang dresses and hang gentlemen's clothing as well. If a cupboard was all shelves, it wouldn't be terribly useful. So it's possible here Jane Austen is making another joke, but she might not be. I don't know enough about how clothing was stored during the period. We know that Mr. Collins hasn't known Lady Catherine long, and it's possible his opinion of her may change the longer that he knows her. But based on his character, that's unlikely. He is seeing her for her position in society and the fact that she is able to help him in his position in society, and not much about who she is herself. And we'll learn more about that as we continue the book and hear more of his views about Lady Catherine. And that is my summary of Chapter 14 of Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. My name is Frances Duncan. You can find me at francesduncanwrites.com and on Twitter at Frances_Duncan. You have been listening to the Amateur Austenite. Thank you for listening, and I wish you happy reading.